Hey, what's up, gang? Welcome to HBCU Game Day. We're talking hoops once again. I have a surprise for you. A face you have not seen since football season. I think this is the first time she's been back to talk hoops. Who is it? It is Symone Stanley, fresh off the Super Bowl. What's up, girl? I saw you everywhere during Super Bowl weekend. Before we talk hoops, real quick, how was your Super Bowl media experience?
It was a 10,000 out of 10. It was just, really great to be in that environment, surrounded by, the top athletes right now, top media professionals. So it was just an amazing experience.
Your first Super Bowl you covered?
Kinda. So first full week that I covered. So last year I worked with Threads, and I covered 2 days of Radio Row. This week I had the full experience working with The Gist. So It felt like my first full experience.
Okay. And you were doing like stuff with the Pro Bowl stuff too, right?
Yep. A little bit of everything. NFL honors, Pro Bowl, a ton of women's flag events with like Toyota and Invisalign. So really like a little bit of everything.
I got to get my Invisalign back now.
I got to get my Invisalign, period. Okay? Because this bottom row looking crazy. I'm talking like this.
Did you see I got Shador?
I did not see Shador close up, but I did see our guy Michael Vick everywhere.
Oh, okay.
And Deshaun Jackson as well. Michael Vick was like one of the front faces during the week. He had a lot of podcasts and TV appearances booked. He was like fully involved. He did the YouTube flag game playing. He was also one of the coaches for the Pro Bowl, as with Deshaun Jackson. So Michael Vick was definitely a prominent face that weekend.
All right, so good to see that HBCU representation on the field, on the sidelines, and behind the mic with our girl, Symone. All right, let's bring in the rest of the gang. We're going to talk some hoops here. We got Liv and Tilla. Liv for hoops. Liv has a new hair. This is hairdo number 4 for Liv.
Yep.
I'm running out of the names to keep up with them, but hairdo number 4, if you're keeping track at home. Wilton at his Jackson State office. Let's take Wilton full screen. You got more decorations up since the last time we saw you?
Tali, unfortunately, I don't, because I have other responsibilities. So you still see the NBA background of basketball, a helmet, a football, a baseball up there too, because baseball season is underway now. So
what do you work?
You could at least put some stickers on them binders.
Well, you got all white binders.
That's what I'm saying. All white. It's like serial killer vibes.
Don't they have segregation in Mississippi? The white binders and the black binders can't mix together? Like, what's going on?
I haven't touched those binders since I got in this office. They have remained the same.
What's in the binders?
Nothing.
And Wilton has gotten more professional since I've left. When I left, Wilton was getting more relaxed. He was bringing out some quarter zips, a hoodie even. Now he's got the clip or his tie. He done got more professional.
So when I come to the office, I have to make sure I have a shirt and tie on, and you got to set the standard. So you know how that goes.
Oh,
you see, I stepped it up for y'all. I got on slacks, matching socks.
Yeah, yes, she's doing it.
We appreciate
it. Hey, Miles, I didn't do my job. Drag that little thing off of Wilton's screen. It looks like the part of Zoom where everybody else is like minimized. I didn't do my job. Sorry about that, Wilton. All right, look, Liv is going to come to Atlanta for the first time, not in her life, but for the first time while she's been rolling with us. So, Liv, your HBCU Go this weekend in the studio. With me and former Howard tennis star Nicole Hutchinson. We're just going to have the all HBCU lineup on TV this weekend.
We are. I'm so excited to be. That's why I asked you what your height was. I didn't want to be towering over you in my shoes. So
How
that's
tall
why
are you? How tall are you?
I'm 5'10".
Okay.
So we'll be.
Tolly's not short.
Yeah.
Liv randomly asked me the other day, how tall are you? I was like...
Well, you got to ask men these days.
I was like, I'm a good 6'1", 6'2". It's like, okay, she was worried she was going to be towering over me. All right, I got it now.
You never know. You
never
never know.
Well, ask Steve, all right? Ask Steve. You don't have to...
Now, Tolly.
He wrong for that.
Steve is short.
What? Why Steve
catching a stray.
A crazy stray.
I mean, he's short. He knows that. He's been short his whole life.
Oh
All right, let's get on to CIAA hoops. We have some doubleheaders coming up this weekend, but let's take a look at where we are with the men's basketball standings. Up north, Virginia Union has just been rocking and rolling. They're at 22-3. Down south, Fayetteville State has been on a roll 10 in a row for the Broncos. I saw one of their scores the other day, Liv. It was like a team I'd never seen before in my life. And the score was like 116 to 112. Fayetteville State will let you score as many as you want as long as they just get like 2 more buckets. Yeah. Is it sustainable, the style of play for the Broncos of just these 100-point games on both sides of the equation?
I think we saw that last season when Coach Hearn was with Bluefield State, and that's why, they ended up getting to the CIAA championship game. They got a berth to the NCAA Division II national tournament where he actually played the school he graduated from and was a former player. So I think that it is. I don't feel like Coach Hearn is going to bend the way that he plays to conform to the CIAA. He wants teams, everyone else in the conference, to have to play at their speed. So if you can't slow them down, you're going to have to play at their pace. I've been very happy with the production they've been putting out. Winning 10 in a row is not easy, and they're still going to have a target on their back heading into the CIAA tournament and even throughout the tournament. So it's not guaranteed they're going to always put up those numbers, but I think that it is sustainable because that's the system that he's ingrained into all of their heads, that this is the way we play. Get on board or sit on the bench.
All right, Wilton, Virginia Union. 22-3 right now as we talk here on a Thursday afternoon. Are they just going to power their way through Baltimore and go to the championship? What do you think?
I mean, right now, I feel like it's their division to lose. This is a Virginia Union team that looks really, really well right now. And I think more so than anything, you talk about Fayetteville State. If there's any team that I feel like they could potentially go toe-to-toe with Fayetteville State, it is Virginia Union. So right now, you're looking at the standings. Virginia Union won the last 6. Virginia State has also won the last 6. So I won't necessarily say they're going to just power through easily because there still could be some tough matchups ahead for them. But I definitely have that Northern CIAA division theirs to lose right now.
All right, let's take a look at the CIAA Women's, where the return to the top of the division after a little return of the favor of that BTA that Fayetteville State put on Winston-Salem State. They returned the favor and spanked those Lady Broncos. So those two teams are even. You can't count out the Northern Division, Virginia State up top there along with Bowie State. But Liv, are we kidding ourselves if we think it's going to be anything other than Winston-Salem State, Fayetteville State on the women's side? Or do you have a long shot outside of those two teams?
I think those two are for sure the favorites. But again, we've seen teams compete with them, but also get blown out by them. So I think going into the tournament, they're going to be tested because everyone wants to take down either the 2-time defending champs in Fayetteville State or take down Winston, who is running hot. Number 18 in the Division II national polls, and they're also set to make history tonight as the most wins in a single season in program history if they win tonight. So those are the two hottest teams in the CIAA, but everyone's for sure going to give them their best shot. I think that's what the people want to see. We want to see that rematch in the championship game of they split during the regular season. Now what's going to happen when all the marbles are on the table? So I see that happening as, they have 2 veteran coaches to the CIAA, 2 winning coaches that, I think that they will will their teams to that championship game, that we'll get that third matchup and see who takes that tiebreaker win for the CIAA tournament champs.
All right, Wilton, if anybody is going to upset the apple cart between Symone upset the apple cart. Are you with me there?
No, and I'm probably not the only one.
Show of hands if you've heard upset the apple cart before. Anybody? All right, thank you, Wilton. All right.
What is that? Are we going to get explanation? Scuttlebutt?
I mean, it's just, upset the apple cart.
Wilton, no, he's never heard that.
Things are going a certain way as anticipated, and then all of a sudden, your
throw a wrench.
Throw a wrench in there. Your apple cart hits a rock, and the apple cart turns over.
It's a little low.
Yeah.
See, when you got to do all that explaining, it's not a good
That's why I missed her so much. Not that these two haven't been age discriminating against me, but anyway, Wilton, let's talk about. Can't keep up with my phone. Who might upset either Winston-Salem State or Fayetteville State on the women's side once we get to Baltimore?
Honestly, Tolly, if you look at the standings, maybe potentially Bowie or Virginia State, but I got to be honest with you. I'm with Liv. I mean, the people want to see Winston-Salem State and Fayetteville State again. And personally, taking myself out of a journalist role really quick, that's what I want to see. No disrespect to any other team, but I feel like we got two good matchups between these two teams. Winston-Salem State got their revenge. Who would not want to see the best two teams face off for a championship on the line? This is a Winston-Salem State team that most people thought, again, wouldn't be at this point. And we know what Fayetteville State has done, to Liv's point, 2-time back-to-back CIAA Women's Championships. So it's just like you have a champion that's already been established, and then you have another team that could potentially be on that road to winning a championship. It doesn't get much better than that in the month of March. So I would just say, give me some popcorn, some nachos or something like that so I can sit back and watch.
All right, in the SIAC, people are going to be watching this weekend because it is a big rivalry weekend, and one of those games right here in the A, it's going to be Clark Atlanta at Morehouse, right?
Yes.
Right? It's going to be Clark Atlanta at Morehouse. All they got to do is walk right up the street, but a little bigger gym than Epps Gymnasium. Here's a look at the men's basketball standings. Symone, how did CAU creep up and pass Morehouse? Morehouse beat Clark Atlanta pretty good the first time around, and they were on a roll, but CAU hasn't been messing around. They're back on top there in the division.
Yeah, they've always been right there. Obviously, Morehouse got the better of Clark at Clark, but then Morehouse was riding a 10-game winning streak, lost a few. They had a couple of games rescheduled because of the snowstorm that still hasn't been able to be scheduled. So little things kind of got out of whack routine-wise for Morehouse. Morehouse has been dealing with a ton of injuries this entire season. Like, Coach Dixon has had to use the entire bench. He's probably had 15 different rotations. Clark Atlanta, they've been finding their footing in these past 2 months. They're riding a 4-game win streak right now. And we know Clark Atlanta is always going to be right there, especially at this point in the season, because in this Coach Jordan era, this is a championship team. They know how to win. They especially know how to win at the right time. So it's no surprise that Clark Atlanta has been able to creep up, take over the SIAC East. But this game is going to be huge. Obviously,
and you're on the call, right?
And yes, I'm going to be on the call, so we're going to be lit. We're going to be lit.
All right, how do we see it? Is it SIAC Network?
SIAC Network. Then just click on Morehouse Clark.
What time is tip-off?
Great question. Great question, which I should know, but I don't know. I think it's like 3. It's like afternoon. Okay. It's like afternoon.
Okay.
The game is going to be at capacity. They're probably going to have to turn people away from the game.
Beyond capacity.
Yeah. The environment at the Morehouse games this season has been electric. Obviously.
Arresting.
Now, Tyler. It has been electric. Do want to give a shout out to Coach Dixon. This is his first year at the helm of Morehouse College. And to have the team, number 1, number 2 in the East throughout the season with everything he's had to deal with injury-wise, it's been a great job. So it's been a great year for SIAC basketball, especially in the ATL. It's going to be lit.
Do you think the champion comes out of the East this year? Is it going to be between Clark and Morehouse? Is Tuskegee, Miles? Are they going to have something to say? Is there a team like Savannah State last year that you think could still get hot once the tournament gets here?
I definitely think it's going to be Clark or Morehouse out the East. Now, the West it's tough in the West. It's tough, child. And Miles College, again, and shout out to Miles College and their coach, because they only returned 1 player from last season to this season. One. Like, I cannot express 1 player. And they are number 2 right now in the West. So, like, that's just another extremely well-coached team that knows how to win. So, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be tough. We're going to see down the stretch. But I do think Clark or Morehouse is going to come out the East.
Liv, this just occurred to me to ask. How has Tuskegee been performing since all the drama that went down at Morehouse?
You love the drama, boy. You've been trying to get to the drama.
You like tea. I like drama. I mean, it's what it is. How has Tuskegee been doing since then, Liv?
They're still sitting at the top of their division, and they are the only SIAC team to be receiving national votes in the Division II poll. So they're being highly respected. And that's not something we've seen Miles be the team that's been consistently getting votes, but now Tuskegee has stepped into that. So their resume is speaking volumes at a national level. And, since they lost that game, they beat Allen, they beat Benedict. They did drop a game to Spring Hill, which Spring Hill seems to be popping a lot of people lately. But, this game on Saturday is going to be huge because they do play Miles. And so we'll see how they can come out, how they can compete, because that will pretty much decide their division. Not saying that the rest of the teams won't put up any type of competition, but this game will pretty much decide who's going to be number one in their division. But, hats off to Coach Benji Taylor, because they're now receiving votes in the Division II poll. So fingers crossed. Sometimes, the SIAC usually is only a one bid league, but if you have a team who's receiving votes, even though we saw Miles get played last year when they were a top 10 national team, but we can be hopeful that maybe that will push them, if they don't win it all, to get a bid at the D2 tournament.
Let me tell you, it has been politics in Division II playoff bids in football and basketball ever since I can remember. And it doesn't get a lot of attention because it's not D1 and people don't pay attention as much. But man, let me tell you, SIAC, CIAA, you can be like, oh, we're in, we're good. We didn't win the championship, but we're I've seen it enough times. Let's talk about the SIAC women. Was I correct, Liv? Did Lane lose very badly the other day? Lane is one of my favorite teams. Please tell me I misread that. Lane didn't get destroyed the other day, did they?
They did. And it happens though. And that just shows the type of competitiveness in the SIAC of, you just never know, because even though, like, for instance, Clark, who won the regular season, their division last year, was at the bottom, but now they're competing again and somehow back at the top. So it's just so competitive, and hats off to all the coaches for the recruiting that they've done in the off season in order to bring in the type of talent that's going to compete. But, on any given night, anyone can beat anyone. And that's what you have to love about basketball, because it's just, you never know.
All right, Wilton, you put your poll together every week. We'll take a look at it in a few minutes. Let's take a look at that SIAC women's standings again. Who are some of your favorites out of the SIAC, Wilton?
When I look at the East side, I think of like Edward Waters and obviously Clark Atlanta. Adriana Gardner, I'm a big fan of her play for Clark Atlanta. I mean, she's an absolute dog, can pretty much do anything you want to, would want a player to do on the court. I think in the West, obviously, it comes to Miles and Lane. I was kind of like Liv. I was absolutely shocked that Lane got beat the way that they did. But again, at this point in the season, you have those teams that are still trying to sneak up, get wins, in cases to better, solidify their resume, to earn spots in the conference tournament. So again, when I think about who this did with this conference, which team could really stand out, I think you still have to really, really consider Edward Waters, Clark Atlanta, and then of course Miles as well. But Edward Waters and Clark Atlanta, like, I'm really hoping Clark Atlanta can really like make some noise coming out the SIAC on the women's side.
Hey, you guys remember when Benedict women used to run the SIAC, then they kind of fell off for a couple of seasons? Did you see where they were in the standings? Or are they sneaky good again?
I think it's just, who are you going to get on any given night? Like, to see how they beat Lane, like basically almost a 30 ball, shows just the level they can play at, but can they sustain that? But in a one bid league, you really want to be gearing towards playing your best basketball, right around this time, because the tournament is literally a few weeks away. So if they're peaking at this time, you cannot write them out. So, I mean, you can be hopeful. We want to see competitive games. And so to see them get that big time victory over one of the top teams in the conference shows what this team could be. And, maybe they're gearing back in the right direction of how dominant they were once.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when Benedict was running the show on the women's side. All right, let's talk about the SWAC men's standings. We'll have a big SWAC doubleheader across the league on Saturday. Bethune-Cookman still rolling. They've won 8 in a row, but UAPB, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. You see that little thing at the top? I ain't really fixed that. That little 10-1 at the top.
Your second pair of eyes failed you. Sorry.
Just act like you don't see that right there. But Pine Bluff at 8-3, Southern at 7-4. Man, Southern sneaking back up there. Alabama A&M. It is quite a ride for 2 through 5 outside of the top spot. But Liv, let's take a look at Bethune-Cookman. Their last couple of games, people have been coming for them. They have been missing, but not by much.
Yeah, and playing at home, sometimes you get that home whistle, which I think in both games, they definitely benefited from that. They are an extremely talented roster, but the Texas teams were ready to compete, and we saw that. And Prairie View put up a great fight. It came down to the last minute and a half where Bethune was able to pull away, and then they were able to just, dominate Texas Southern in overtime, even though I would think Johnny Jones will have something to say that his player was in fact fouled at the end of regulation, and the refs, they make that judgment call. Are we going to end the game on a pair of free throws, or are we going to send it into overtime? And so, they're going to get everyone's best game simply because they're the number 1 seed, where I think everyone in the SWAC is getting everyone's best game. Everyone wants to hand Bethune that next loss. They want to take them down, take away their win streak, and be like, y'all aren't as nice as y'all think you are. So they were tested this weekend, but we want to see that. And it speaks to just the level they have. Dr. Bradley was out. He is out due to I believe they said an ankle injury on their call. And so for them to be able to pull out those games without a key player like Dr. Bradley, who's a two-way threat for them, it speaks to where they are right now. But, teams are coming for them, and they're ready to take them down. And I don't think it would necessarily be bad if they lost right now to get that loss in regular season as opposed to the conference tournament. But we'll see what happens this weekend, because Texas definitely put up a good fight.
Yeah, they did. That Texas Southern game was a lot closer than the final score might indicate. Bethune-Cookman outscored them 15-5 in overtime. Wilton, Liv talked about, do we want to end the game on free throws in the final seconds? Well, on the women's side in the SWAC, that actually did happen since the last time we talked. Let's take a look at those SWAC women's standings. And you see Alabama A&M. Yeah, I did the same thing on the graphic there. Just act like you don't see that. All right, they are 10-1. They're so good, we just put it up there twice. 10-1, and they will play Valley this weekend, the only team to beat Alabama A&M. They have won 10 in a row. They do have some competition back there. Alcorn State surging, although they're coming off a loss. Southern, still a team that you have to take seriously, as well as Alabama State. But let's take a look at those close losses. Wilton for close wins for Alabama A&M. They did not. Coach Thornton and her team did not lose since the last time we have talked. But man, that game against Southern, Wilton, Alabama A&M, Southern, it comes down to free throws at the end of the game.
You're right, Tali. Vick hits those 2 free throws with 1 second left in the game. But beyond just those free throws to win the game, I think it speaks to the way that Alabama A&M is really the team, not only the team to beat, but a team that's well put together to compete. Probably most likely down the stretch of this month and into the tournament, because again, when you have a championship team, most teams aren't just winning in one way. They're not always just winning just by scoring the most points, or, if you're a defensive minded team, you're winning just by defense. By the time you get to a certain level of the season and into a tournament, you're winning by you're using multiple ways to win games. And so sometimes it's going to be by a couple of free throws. Sometimes it might be a key turnover. Sometimes it may just be you just simply outscored your opponent. But in this case, we've seen Alabama A&M be able to do that, and that's exactly what they needed against Southern. But I think this is a team that's still going to continue to be tested later on throughout the month of February and into March. And so, obviously they have a lot of games left in the month of February, but a couple games to really circle for sure is when they play Arkansas Pine Bluff. And that's going to be today. And then also when they play Alabama State, and then the rematch against Southern. So they have some other tests on their schedule to see if the Bulldogs are truly who they say they are.
All right, guys, Coach Thornton playing her old team where she just came from a couple of seasons ago now, UAPB. Is that still a fresh rivalry, a fresh feeling, or
you digging?
Everybody's moved on? I'm reaching. Am
You're
I reaching for that?
You're
Am I reaching?
I think she's moved on from it. But again, when you're the coach of a current team and you're going against your former team, you don't want to lose against your former team.
Okay, because
Charlie trying to squeeze out all the tea he can for today.
Liv, I just want to see A&M and Texas Southern level petty again. Like I like the petty. I like when it comes down and you send those little messages and shot. I mean that's a real thing, right?
Yeah,
Liv?
it is.
It's real, right?
Yeah, it is.
All right, y'all don't want to jump on board with me. Okay, all right. Let's see. Just leave a brother out here on the edge of the 4-box all by myself. All right, let's talk about the MEAC. We'll do the MEAC men's standings. Morgan State, North Carolina. Liv, who is our team of the week? Every week there's like a surprise team in the MEAC that just had like a great week. Are things starting to level off, or is someone leveled up since the last 7 days?
I think that the two teams we thought were going to be the front runners in the MEAC are finally figuring it out. We saw Howard handle business, and then they actually competed. Yale is number 9 in the nation for mid-majors, and they took them into overtime. Mind you, it was a crazy shot to send it into overtime by Yale, but Howard and Norfolk State seemed to be figuring it out. Obviously, Morgan State still rolling. That was a great game for them over UMES, and they got their get back because UMES beat them the first time, and Morgan State handled business at home. And so I think those 3 teams are really rolling. We saw Central drop one and then win one with the bounce back over Del State. But, I'm going to still give it to the Bears because who had Morgan State sitting at the top of the MEAC? No one. No. I don't even think some Morgan State alum had them sitting at the top of the MEAC, if we're being honest. But they've truly, their 3 Musketeers, along with Marlon Harris, who was massive in that UMES game, putting up a 17-11, and I believe he had 4 blocks that game. He's just adding on to the pieces they're building, and they are truly looking like a real threat to win the MEAC regular season and the tournament.
All right, let's go over to the ladies in the MEAC, and let's see who is getting their act together over there. It is a mess at the top, as in UMES, Maryland Eastern Shore and Howard. And Wilton, I just don't ever want to write off Norfolk State. I think they had a couple of games where they were just, things didn't go their way. But this is still your daddy's Norfolk State on the women's side, right?
It is. I mean, it's still Norfolk State is very much still in contention to potentially win the MEAC on the women's side. But I think beyond when you look at the 3 teams that's sitting 1, 2, and 3, I still think looking at, quality resume, games still left on schedule, Howard, I think, is really going to shake some things up when they play Maryland Eastern Shore again. I mean, I just do. And it's no discredit to Maryland Eastern Shore because they've had a wonderful season. I mean, kind of like Talib said about Morgan State, I didn't necessarily have Maryland Eastern Shore sitting at number 1 right now, but I definitely think Howard takes that game because I was looking at the standings last night. I was like, man, Maryland Eastern Shore beat Howard. And I had to go back and look at that. And I said to myself, okay, and they have to play, Maryland Eastern Shore has to play Howard again. So I'm interested to see how Howard responds to that, knowing what's at stake, especially in the month of February. So I think that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Howard kind of overtake Maryland Eastern Shore. Again, what most people probably thought would be Howard's conference to win this year to begin with.
All right, it is now time for Symone's favorite part of the show. It is Wilton's Top 10. Yes, Symone, since you've been gone, Wilton has received top branding. His poll leads the way right here on the HBCU GameDay podcast. What did I say, Miles? Or what are we going to do, Miles? Ladies first or men's poll? You put one up. We'll talk about it. You put one up. There we go. What color tie does Wilton have on? He has on his orange, so that means men's. Because these polls are color-coded.
Wilton posed. Hold on now. Wilton posed up. Looking like a menswear ad.
He doesn't mess around. He does not mess around. All right. Wilton, your weekly status check on Tennessee State. They were your number 1 team a couple of weeks ago. They lose to Tennessee Tech. Are they now in your solid 2? I think everybody agrees just Bethune-Cookman is the best HBCU men's team.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now, it sits that way. Bethune-Cookman is number 1. It's still number 1. Obviously, 10-1, won the last 8. And then I think some of the most notable changes that I'll talk about specifically, obviously you see Alabama A&M at number 8, and then of course Florida A&M now at number 9. Both are 6 and 5 in the SWAC. I think the team that we really probably will see differently, obviously, is Arkansas Pine Bluff and what they were able to do. They're sitting 8 and 3 in the SWAC, riding a 5-game winning streak. This is a team that most people probably thought wouldn't be sitting right here in this particular spot, but they've been playing some excellent basketball. Of course, Tennessee State, I have them at 2. Howard was last week not ranked, but now they're at 5. And then, of course, UMES had dropped out from last week to this week. And so then, of course, Morgan State, which Liv just alluded to, the Three Musketeers, they just keep winning. 6 and 2 in the MEAC on a 6-game winning streak. And also to think that they had that head-to-head win over Howard. So that's why I put them over Howard. I know some people may say, well, Howard has the better resume and Howard has the a stronger strength of schedule and some other rankings like KenPom and net rankings, but Morgan State definitely has that head-to-head win over Howard. North Carolina Central at 6, Southern at 7, Alabama A&M at 8, Florida A&M number 9, and Norfolk State at 10. I kind of debated at 10 between Norfolk State and Grambling because of the resume, but I ended up giving Norfolk State the win. Norfolk State at 10 because they won last week and Grambling took a loss.
All right, Liv, I know you are a complete body of work person. Does the body of work metrics line up in Wilton's poll?
Me and Wilton have the same exact top 5. So my 1 through 5 is his exact top 5. I mean, pretty similar. Momentum, full body schedule. It's honestly really hard on the men's side. It's not as cut and dry, and it comes into your own personal. I just, certain teams, I'm like, I could do without them on there, but then it's like, who do you replace them with? For sure, the top 5, I'm just like, yes, this should be everyone's top 5 because obviously Tennessee State bounced back with 2 dominant wins, and they're still sitting second in the OVC, only 2 games out of first. UAPB is just, they're my little team. I like no bias, but completely biased. I'm such a fan of Keon Williams. I think he is the best 2-way complete player in the entire SWAC. And if he doesn't get first team all SWAC, it will be a robbery because the way he impacts the game fully is why UAPB is sitting at that 3rd spot. But, a lot of teams are building momentum. Like you said, Tolly, Southern's creeping back in. They had that game, the game-winning shot by Fazell Oshodi over Alabama State from the logo to beat them on their home floor. And so, the regular season champs from last year are still creeping their way back in. But I think 2 through 10 is going to look completely different after this next week. And then even in regular standings for the SWAC. And then before we even enter tournament, I think it's just going to be game to game. Who can catch fire? It's so tight this year that one game can drop you literally all the way to the bottom, just above Mississippi Valley. So.
All right. So Liv loves UAPB. She even has her love sweater on with all the hearts as we get ready for Valentine's Day weekend. Let's see what we love about Wilton's top 10 poll on the women's side. All right, Symone, get ready. Wilton's going to do a wardrobe change. Look at that. Switched out that tie, switched out the color scheme. Wilton does not
Wait, did you
mess around.
do that? Like change the color? Or was that a separate photo shoot for Wilton?
I mean, you have to ask Wilton. I didn't. This is Wilton's thing. Separate photo shoot, Wilton, or we just did a little Photoshop magic?
Wilton stay posed up.
Yeah,
I know you be talking about me taking my little selfies, doing it. Wilton stay with a photo shoot booked. Stays.
So this wasn't a photo shoot. This was definitely a little basic Photoshop.
Okay. All right. You have to ask. You never know with Wilton.
We don't.
Follow Wilton. Wilton reports on social media. You'll see what we're talking about. All right. Here are your women's top 10. I'll let you run through it, Wilton.
All right, so at number 1, we have Alabama A&M, and I think that the win that they got over the weekend kind of further solidified that they're the number 1 team right now in the HBCU space on the women's side. I think number 2, you can have Maryland Eastern Shore. They still hold that head-to-head win over Howard, and again, some people may go back and forth depending on if you want to weigh resume more versus week-to-week polls. Some people may lean more to Howard versus Maryland Eastern Shore, but I went more because this is a week-to-week poll. And then obviously the head-to-head matchup, I put Maryland Eastern Shore. 3 would be Howard. And again, they're about to face off again. or they have to face off again in the back half of this season. So that's going to be a matchup to watch, obviously. Alcorn, I think, is a good spot at number 4, strong conference resume, even though with the recent blemish. Then you have Norfolk State, again, behind, obviously, Maryland Eastern Shore and also Howard, but they're still in that MEAC race in the top 3 teams. So, again, you can't write off Norfolk State, but it should be interesting. It should be an interesting finish as we get close to the end of February and going into MEAC tournament. Alabama State. This is a team, although they lost this past week, this is a team that's still showing that they can be very, very dangerous in the SWAC. Then you have 7, 8, 9, and 10. And this is where it kind of got a little, not necessarily shaky, but it was just kind of like, okay, who do I put here? Southern, I put at number 7. They've lost 3 straight, so I'm a little worried right now. And granted, they just lost Alabama A&M by 2 points. So, but again, when you start talking about where we are in the season, you have to be able to win those close games because it could really come down to a possession, a certain amount of points. They could really separate you when you start talking about seedings for tournament purposes. And then, of course, you get to Arkansas Pine Bluff at number 8. Pretty much your strongest trending team out of like the 6 to 10 block, the 6 to 10 teams. And then at 9, I put FAMU, and then I ended number 10 with Coppin State. Not the sexiest team per se, but they're still in that 500 mark within the MEAC standings on the women's side.
All right. More cut and dry than the men's side, or do you still have some wiggle room on your 6 through 10 there, Liv?
I think the top 5, I think everyone has at least those 5 teams in their top 5. I don't think there's not really argument for anyone else to be in the top 5 at this moment. So however people want to mix up Alabama A&M, UMES, Howard, Alcorn State, Norfolk State comes into how they rank the teams. I think there is 6 through 10 is just kind of like how Wilton said, like, who's next? Like,
yeah, it really is.
It's really hard to fill in those next 5 spots simply because when you have teams who a lot of them were not successful in out-of-conference play, had maybe their only wins were against non-Division I teams, and then they come into conference, they're competing with some good teams, but dropping games to teams that are lower in the standings, it makes it really hard to get that next 5 out because even I'm like, UAPB, like, but they unfortunately where they are in the rankings, like in the actual SWAC standings, it kind of puts them there. So I think there's wiggle room with the 6 through 10, but the 1 through 5 is cut and dry with those specific 5 teams.
All right, rapid finish. Let's get out of here. We're going to take a look at every HBCU matchup that we have a graphic for. On Saturday, these are generally double headers, and as these go across your screen for the next couple of minutes, let's talk about what we're looking forward to. Liv, I'm looking forward to FAMU Jackson State because that's going to be our game of the week on HBCU Go, a double header. The SWAC has had some great finishes on TV this year, so I am looking forward to that. Liv, what are you looking forward to?
I actually think that's going to be a great game, both with 2 teams that are really hungry and trying to find really good footing heading into the SWAC tournament. I think a game that I know people want to amp up Alabama A&M and Mississippi Valley because they lost, but I personally think Alabama A&M is about to give them that work because they're like, we lost, so now we gotta rectify what happened earlier in the season. I really have my eyes on the Grambling Texas Southern game because Texas Southern has hit a skid of losing games, and Grambling has seemed to look like a different team. Like if you watched how they play versus Alabama A&M, and then how they really dominated Alabama State. I'm interested to see who comes out of that matchup for the SWAC this week in the women.
Wilton, what game will you be watching? Although you'll be covering baseball this weekend. What's the first box score you're going to check from hoops this weekend?
Definitely probably going to be Clark and Morehouse. Not going to lie to you. The classic SIAC matchup. I was actually fortunate enough to be on that call last year when it was played, and it went to overtime. And it was an extremely, extremely competitive game. I mean, the atmosphere was just everything. And I don't think that it's going to fall short of that this year, considering where both teams are in the SIAC East. We know where Morehouse, they hit they had a small blemish. And then, of course, Clark Atlanta is still balling. So I'm interested to see what the score of that game is going to be in between, trying to figure out who's getting the most runs on the diamond.
All right, Symone, you're going to be at Clark Morehouse. I know that's the game you're watching, obviously, because you're like literally working the game. We agreed it's a 3 o'clock tip Eastern?
It's actually 2.
2 o'clock
yes.
Eastern. If you think you might want to get into that game, what time should you show up?
I will pull up probably noon.
Noon.
I think you'll be safe if you pull up at noon.
Okay.
I think you'll be safe.
All right.
Think.
So we're trying to educate you. It's always a great environment when that gym in Morehouse is packed. I mean, it's a double-decker, man.
Right.
On the Division II side, that is one heck of a gym.
Right.
They built it for the Olympics back in '96. So it is a hell of an environment. I know the pep band will be in there. So it's
the
going to be
cheerleaders.
the whole nine.
They're going to be going at it.
Symone on the call.
I'm going to be trying. It'd be hard, trying to lock in when there's so much going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is a vibe for sure. All right, one other thing. If for some reason you want to watch something else this weekend, in addition to basketball, racing starts this weekend, and it'll be at Daytona. And in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, which is the second tier behind the Cup Series, it's been rebranded. I still call it the Busch Series. From back in the day, it was the Busch Series. But Rajah Caruth is running a full schedule this year across 2 different cars. But most of his action will be in the number 88 for JR Motorsports. So cheer on Rajah Caruth. He's a graduate of Winston-Salem State University. His race is Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern on the CW, if I'm not mistaken. But just go to the article we wrote at HBCUGameDay.com and just search for Rajah Caruth and you'll have the latest on him. So support our guy this weekend. All right, Liv, can't wait to see you this weekend in Atlanta. And Wilton, enjoy the baseball this weekend.
What is the baseball game?
What do you know, Wilton?
It's the HBCU Power Series in Jackson. Okay. So it's like several teams like Jackson State, Alabama A&M, Alcorn, Prairie View, and I'm missing one other team.
Awesome.
It might be in one of those.
JSU, Alcorn, Grambling, Alabama A&M, Texas Southern, and Prairie View.
All right, take those binders out there. Fill it up with stats and information.
For sure.
Have a good time. Symone, we'll have to get together after your event because that's going to be one to talk about.
Right.
All right, guys, that's it for now. We got to get out of here. Enjoyed you. Hope you enjoyed us. We'll talk to you later.